I submitted my video on racism and Tangled to an intersectional Disney feminist blog that I really like, and they ended up posting it and it blew up. So thank you to Disney for Princesses, a blog that advocates the need for more princesses of color in Disney films. Definitely check them out. I realize that 1,000 views for a video and 100 new subscribers isn't a lot for some channels, but it's a lot for us. So thank you to everyone who watched it and who shared it and left comments. It's been really awesome, and I hope I don't disappoint. As promised, this is part 2 of my Tangled review, so let's get right into it. Physical and sexual abuse are things that are handled fairly regularly in TV and movies. I think the biggest reason that physical and sexual abuse are shown so often, or at least so candidly, comes down to the fact that they are easily recognizable in a visual medium. There's also something to be said about how violence is sexualized, and I think there's this obvious factor of the masses finding it horrifically interesting or tantalizing. And as a result of this gross fascination we have with physical violence, it kind of pushes things like emotional and psychological abuse to the side, because they can often be much more subtle and therefore harder to identify. There's also the stigma that emotional abuse isn't as bad or real because it's not physically quantifiable, and that's messed up. But man, does this movie do a good job of showing an emotionally abusive relationship, and one between a parent and a child, which I think is also another step on the ladder of things media doesn't usually cover. Because, you know, parents are always right and kids are always dumb kids that don't know what they're talking about. So what makes Gothel abusive? It's easy to come out thinking that while Gothel is a frightening villain and a generally bad person, that she did care for Rapunzel. But then you watch it a second time and that feeling is pretty much gone. I hope. Everything that Gothel does is for one purpose: to keep Rapunzel trapped. And when you watch it that second time, you know the extremes that she's willing to go to achieve that goal. She tells Rapunzel that the world is dangerous not because she cares about protecting her from it, but because she doesn't want to give Rapunzel any reason to leave the tower. Or should I say, she doesn't want Rapunzel's hair to leave. To Gothel, Rapunzel the person is a tumor, an annoying accessory of the magic flower that she also has to feed and pretend to love, but simultaneously keep downtrodden enough that she will never have the self-confidence to escape. Ultimately, Gothel's inability to see Rapunzel as a person is her undoing. When she allows Rapunzel the opportunity to heal Eugene, she never stops to consider that he loves Rapunzel enough to sacrifice his life for her freedom. It never even crosses her mind that someone would see Rapunzel as more than a vessel for her magical abilities. But what exactly is emotional abuse? And how does Gothel engage in it so thoroughly? Abuse is any behavior designed to control and subjugate a person. Emotional abuse is any kind of abuse that is emotional rather than physical in nature. It systematically wears away at a person's self-confidence, self-worth, and trust in their own perceptions. They become so beaten down emotionally that they blame themselves for the abuse. I did some research on examples of emotional abuse and have found instances of Gothel's abuse for nearly every single one of them. Aggressing, name-calling, accusing, blaming, threatens or gives orders, often disguised as a judgmental, I know best, or helpful attitude.
Mother knows best.
Denying, denies personal needs, especially when need is greatest, with the intent of causing hurt or punishment.
Actually, what I wanted for it, why did you hurt this
Okay, Rapunzel, please stop with the mumbling. Blah, 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 blah. It's very annoying.
In addition to lowering self-esteem and creating conflict, the invalidation of reality, feelings, and experiences can eventually lead a person to mistrust and question their own emotional experiences and perceptions.
I am a horrible daughter.
I am never going back!
I am a despicable human being.
Degrading, any behavior that diminishes the identity, dignity, or worth of the person, such as name-calling, blaming, mocking, ridiculing, teasing, insulting.
Sloppy, underdressed, immature, clumsy, please. They'll eat you up alive.
Isolating, reducing or restricting freedom and normal contact with others.
Why can't I go outside?
Invalidation, attempts to distort a person's perception of the world by refusing to acknowledge their personal reality.
The outside world is a dangerous place.
Says that your emotions and perceptions aren't real and shouldn't be trusted.
I think he likes me.
Likes you, please, Rapunzel. That's demented. Dear, this whole romance that you've invented.
Exploiting, using a person for advantage or profit. I don't think I really need to explain this one. It's kind of the whole point of the movie. Minimizing, trivializes something a person has expressed as unimportant or inconsequential.
I'm
I'm just teasing. Stop taking everything so seriously.
And I want to mention my favorite one really quick.
Now look what you've done, Rapunzel.
Gothel stabs him and then she blames it on Rapunzel! Before I get into why showing this kind of thing is important, I want to take a step back and bring up a really problematic aspect of Gothel's villainy. Her racial coding. Does this sound familiar? I talked about that at length in part 1. A brief recap. Gothel is coded as this racial other, visually separable from all of the other obviously white characters, with some physical features that draw on anti-Semitic traditions. And you know something else that Jewish people have been stereotyped for doing? Kidnapping babies. Especially beautiful blonde Aryan babies. So Gothel's abusive behavior is problematic in the sense that it reinforces these racist ideas. And it's a big issue and shouldn't be ignored, which is why I made part 1. That being said, the representation of this kind of abuse is important. Why? Tumblr user The Courage to Heal says it perfectly. Tangled shows how covert abuse is executed and why it's so difficult for victims to escape. You can't escape if you don't even realize you're in an abusive situation. You can't leave if you think you need your abuser to survive, and you can't get help if they isolate you from anyone who might see the truth. Ta-da! That's why it's important. And it's not just something that's good in theory, it's actually happened. I've been a member of the Disney fandom on Tumblr for about 5 years now, and one of the things that I see a lot is people talking about how Tangled made them realize that they were being emotionally abused, and how it gave them hope that they would eventually leave their own towers and their own Gothels. And I see people who are in that situation now and find comfort in this movie. That's a pretty big freaking deal. For those of you who have gone through that experience, or who are going through it now, you've done nothing to deserve it, and it's not your fault. And if there's anything I can do, please let me know. I made myself kind of sad just now, so I'm gonna go do something fun. Thank you all for watching. Again, new subscribers, thank you. For those of you who aren't subscribed to our channel, please do so. We have lots of fun. If you have any suggestions for future videos or ideas that you might want me to explore, I'm always open to new ideas. Though my next video will probably be about Janelle Monáe or Steven Universe, or, you know, maybe something I just haven't thought of yet. But please, engage. Thanks for watching. The Princess will see you next week. For those of you who aren't subscribed to our channel, do it now. Just do it! No, that was stupid.